you guys for ordering and participating in Dinner for Democracy. So welcome. We hope this is a little bit like dinner party. You know, we're here, we're chatting. We've got special guests.
Each day, the Department of State Health Services has a dashboard where they tell you how many new cases there are, how many tests have been done, et cetera. Anybody can look at that going to the DSHS website. I think we're all pretty clear about the fact that a significant amount of testing must happen in order for us to get a better idea of what's really happening with the spread. And even the White House's recommendations of having 14 days of the downward trend has not been the case here in Texas. So I think there is still concern about how rapidly this is happening. We have done well in Texas for a lot of reasons, but part of it may be because we don't have enough information yet. Part of it, as Vicki's talking about, is we didn't have all of the nursing home information.
So this is where I kept expecting it to at least plateau or start a downward trend before things started opening up based on what the governor originally said, because he said it would be 14 days of the case number, new cases going down. And I don't think we've ever seen that. So I think they're a lot easier to get now than they had been initially. Before, you had to have come in contact with somebody that was known to have COVID and you had to have a lot of symptoms. My understanding is that now you don't necessarily have to know that you've come in contact with somebody with COVID.
The city has now set up, there's a website you can go to and fill in your symptoms and whatever, and they can tell you if you're eligible and where you can go to get the test. We've also been being told that we have more tests than people are taking advantage of right now. That's because, of course, we're still limiting it to those that have symptoms, when we know that asymptomatic people are also capable of spreading the disease, but we haven't gotten to the point yet where we have a sufficient number of tests to open it up that way. The comptroller's reports that come out each month that give us the different sources of revenue and what we've brought in have a month lag time. So the last report we got was for March, where we had basically half a month of social distancing and a half a month of not. The report we're going to be getting here in the next couple of weeks, which will be for April, will be more telling in terms of what the downturn was. But, you know, the comptroller is telling us that this summer he plans to revise his revenue estimate to the tune of several $billion less. We know that there's going to be a big hit, not only because of COVID, but also because of the downturn in the oil sector. And that's, a lot of that goes to our so-called rainy day fund, the economic stabilization fund, but there is a portion of it that also goes to the general fund. And it has ripple effects with the sales tax in terms of, you know, drilling equipment and all kinds of things that are a part of supporting that industry. So there's going to be a big hit. We know we have probably $10 billion in the Economic Stabilization Fund. This is certainly a time to tap into that, and we will undoubtedly do so. How far we go will be something that will be determined the next legislative session. Vicki, you can chime in on this too. I don't see any kind of move toward a special session.
I have to say that talking about the budget right now in the state of Texas is a little bit depressing. We know it's going to be hit hard, and it's hard to even wrap our head around how to fix it since we don't know exactly how hard it's going to be hit. You know, like Donna was saying, sales taxes are down, but they're only down 5% so far because we only have March and April's numbers. Another thing that's not really state, although it is and it isn't, is property taxes. And we know a lot of businesses that haven't been operating their restaurants, for example, for the last couple of months, may not be able to pay their property taxes, or maybe won't be able to pay all of their property taxes at the end of the year. So that's really going to affect how much is collected and going to our schools. And so it's just hard to guess right now. And we'll know more as time goes by. As an example, my daughter's university says they're going to be holding classes in the fall, and she's very skeptical. So for now, I think that's the hope and the goal, because the teachers are really concerned about students not getting the same education at home as they would in the school. And the gap is just widening between the students that are able to get help at home and have the technology at home versus those students whose parents may be working during the day and can't give them that help, and they may not have the internet. So there's just going to be a gap when they come back to school. And so I'm hoping schools are open for that reason.
I do think there's going to be some huge challenges for Austin ISD in particular as a result of the decision to not look at 2020 values for the property tax assessment. And there are some obvious repercussions to the district from that. We don't know what's going to happen with what people are going to choose in terms of, is this going to be something that's going to bring people back into the public school system because they can't afford private school now? Is it going to shift people to charters? I don't think anybody knows yet what to expect here. And so there's a lot that I know that the AISD board is really grappling with right now. And I think it's even more serious than they may think. It is going to be a huge challenge with the property taxes going down. It's going to be a challenge to ensure that the state fulfills its part of the formula funding, which says that we make up when we always benefit when the property taxes go up, but we need to also be there when the property taxes go down. So I don't know, right now it's really just too soon to say. And I know that they're really grappling with it. And I wish I had some answers, but right now it's just too soon to know. Going to be very difficult. There's not much change we're going to see in the Senate. And the way that the legislative process works, you have both houses that have to sign off on things. And so even if we are able to gain the majority in the House and have a Democratic speaker and have a democratically led agenda that we can work on, it will still be difficult to get something all the way through with the lieutenant governor. Now, that being said, the lieutenant governor, as you probably saw this last time, was tamped down a bit because of what happened in the last election. And so if we have a strong showing in this election, it's possible that will still send a strong message to him that will allow for a little more leverage and wiggle room than we might have had otherwise.
Well, I just have to second what you said, though, about the votes. I think the agenda of last session was on school finance reform first and foremost, because the governor, lieutenant governor, and speaker all saw that that's a platform that was across the state. So many voters went to the polls because of that issue. And so if there's a way that we can send a message, like on Medicaid expansion, if there were a way to get enough people saying that's their issue when they go to vote, or the environment, or whatever it is, they get the message if there's enough votes cast. They get it that we've got a gerrymandered state, and that it's only because of that in many cases that we have Republicans in some of those seats. And I think the state is changing.
So we raised, I think it was $2,316, and of that. Galaxy got 1,300, so y'all were super generous to them in terms of not just the dinner, but the tips as well. So I hope you enjoyed your dinner.
Yay.
Yeah, and we can buy a whole bunch more postcards. Get your pen ready. Here we go. So, yeah. So, if you want to do it again, if you have ideas, if you have connections, we did like 71 dinners. So that's amazing. And that was a good night's work for Galaxy. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a nice night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.